Hello and welcome to Gank
Gank
That
That
Drank,
Drank!
a supernatural drinking game podcast. It's a podcast where we recap and play drinking games along with our favorite episodes of our favorite show, Supernatural.
Supernatural. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Ba-ba.
It's the theme song that you wrote for it that I still
Yep.
know to this day.
Yeah, just made it up. What do? We make up drinking game rules for an episode. We recap it for you. We tell you how the rules played out, and then we tell you what episode is next and what drinking game rules go with that episode.
Because time in the Gank universe is a flat circle. And we will
It's a
just
flat
keep
circle.
giving you more assignments for more episodes to do.
More homework, more drinking homework. You know how it is.
That's right.
But who are we who are giving you this homework?
Pete Townsend, Keith Moon. No, we're not the Who. That's not us. I'm Nate McWhorter.
Not us.
Of the
Hi, Nate McWhorter.
Nate McWhorter of the not Nate McWhorter. I pitched that as a name change for the theater, but it did not take. The Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. And who are you?
I'm Krissy Lenz of the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. Nice. Neither one of us got it right this week.
No, we did not. That's fine. That's fine. As I told my workshoppers today, it's okay. It's just as long as you're having fun, just get up there and have a good time. And that's all that matters, because then the audience will have a good time with you. So I hope we're doing that on this show. We have a good time. So I hope you, in your car or in your living room, hopefully you're not doing the drinking.
Your laundry room.
While you're driving, wherever you're at listening to Gank. We hope you're having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to have a good time, because today's my episode.
It's your episode. It's a time travel one. Spoiler. Exciting. We love the time travel ones.
Doctor Who people, so time travel is near and dear to our hearts at all times, along with Bill and Ted, obviously. And this is season 7, episode 12, Time After Time.
Time after time.
Time after time. Time after time. Yeah. So that is our episode.
A great pick. A deep cut. I love it.
Yeah, I was surprised that you didn't know this one off the top when I brought it up last episode. You were like, "Oh, which one is that?" And I was like, "It's the."
Took me a minute.
It's the one where Jensen Ackles might be one of his best looking episodes of the whole run. He does
look good in an old timey hat.
He wears, anytime they put him in one of these these time traveling episodes, he just looks extra.
I wonder if Jared Padalecki feels left out, that all he got to do was the Western wear.
He got to do Western wear. Yeah, he didn't really get to do, because Dean goes back to does the Nazis and does the submarine and does this, and it's always Dean doing the time travel. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder, maybe he just wasn't. Maybe he's like, yeah, I'm good.
I'm good. I just want to wear my plaid.
I mean, if you send Jared Padalecki back in time, people are gonna think that people in the future are giants.
Yeah, and that they have crazy sideburns.
Everyone else. Yeah. So our rules for this episode, for season 7, episode 12, Time After Time, Krissy. Our first drinking game rule is pop culture reference.
Oh boy, a good one, a favorite of mine.
Yeah, this is a good episode for it. Anytime we see the red light, Roxanne, we're putting on the red light and we're taking a drink. Anytime Jody calls the boys, we're taking a drink. Anytime you notice some good jazz just in the background of the music in the background, or the soundtrack of the episode, some jazz. Anytime we get quote awesome, we're taking a drink. Whenever Dean kind of geeks out, I love good Dean geek out moments, so that's a drinking game rule for this episode. We're taking a drink anytime we're thinking about Bobby. Just drinking for Bobby in this episode. We just lost him, and everyone's real sad, and and broke up about it. So we're drinking for Bobby. We're drinking for our BM scenes, of which there are a couple, and then we're taking a shot for smooch when there's a big old smooch.
And then I had the rule that we're taking a drink anytime something's lost in translation.
Yes, lost in translation. Yeah, that one's up. Sorry, that was off to the side. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, we get a little kind of funny moment of, oh, wait a minute, that's not how we talk now, or that's how they talked back then, ha ha ha, or whatever. There's a couple
Someone doesn't understand. Yeah,
each way on that one. And then of course we're always playing the gank rule. Whenever someone says the word gank, we take a drink.
Take a drink.
So a lot of rules, but a lot of them only hit a couple times. There are a couple hero rules in this, but we'll discuss all of that after the recap.
Recap, baby. It's recap time.
Recap time. All right. Then is literally about Leviathans, reminding us who Jody is and that Bobby has died. That is the then.
That's the then.
So I have take a drink because we're thinking about Bobby right at the end of our then. So we get title card, and then one of my favorite story features of any story. I sometimes wish we would do this in improv more often. We're starting in the middle. Sort of. We're not starting in the beginning of this episode. We're starting already a couple days in, which I love. What is it? There's an actual literary term for that. My mom is going to kick my ass for not thinking of it right now.
You don't know. I don't
know
it.
But I'm going to have to text her and ask her now, and then she's going to probably give me homework. So we start in the middle, and
Nate's mom is an English teacher. That's why.
True. Yes. I guess I should mention that. So we basically get the boys in the car, and Deed's like, all right, let's go kill this son of a... And then like we get out, and we're like, just another day with the boys. They're following something into an alley. And we see the thing they're following is like sucking. So we got our first red light going on because he's like sucking some sort of red light out of some sap in an alley. And we're like, oh man, it's another classic boys caper. And like Dean goes after him, and then the guy gets a hold of Dean, and then poof, Dean gone.
They gone.
Dean gone.
They long gone.
And so then we get that's when we get the title. Actually, I think that's when we get the title card, because then it's like supernatural. 2 days earlier, because it wasn't title, it was then. 2 days earlier, we get the boys driving along, and Jody calls. I love the conversation. They're not driving along. They're in a hotel or something.
They're somewhere. Yeah, they're somewhere.
Yeah. But they get a call, and I just love the conversation she has where she's like, oh, does that sound like a tune you boys dance to? And Sam's like, that sounds like our kind of number. Like they're being...
They're already writing this episode in a really snappy way.
They're setting it up already, because it's that whole conversation is like not how these characters would normally talk. I don't think. I just thought it was funny, that whole conversation. So Jody basically says there's bodies that's turned up mummified, but like it's like a fresh body, but it's mummified. There's no wrapping. That's what she says. So then the boys decide they're gonna go check it out. They get to the mummified body. It's time, though. They're headed to Canton, Ohio, by the way, an actual place. Not always are we put into actual places. Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's the one thing I know most people would probably know about it. So this is taking place, this whole episode, in the town of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, yet zero mention of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Anyway,
that is a real missed opportunity.
I know, right? We totally could have had. It could have been Hall of Fame weekend. This thing could have been dropping. We could have had guest football players, like old football players as guest stars. Like totally could have done something here. But yeah, so the boys, they're gonna go and they start interviewing witnesses. They interview this one guy who's like kind of like this stoner dude who lives with his mom. And
yeah, he's great.
He's funny. I'm still almost surprised I didn't end up trying to. I mean, he's like a one-off character, but still, I loved it. He's like, I was outside medicating, and
Medicating.
this guy, this guy came up, and like, yeah. So he describes what he sees. Of course, he already told this to the real cops. They didn't believe him, and so that's where the boys got to this guy. This is where then we also get this scene. I love there's so many great setups because we get the scene of the boys like finding the house in the town to live in,
And
which is like
I thought a lot about the house because I was like, why are they setting up shop in an abandoned house? And then I remembered it's season 7, so they're not driving baby.
right. They
And they're
can't
not
use
staying in
credit cards,
hotels.
right? Because Leviathan are everywhere, so they can't stay anywhere. They gotta like just stay in these. The time where they're staying in a bunch of abandoned houses and stuff, and like trying to avoid security cameras and whatnot.
Mhm.
There's like several stretches of the show where that's the case, where they're either being like hunted by law enforcement earlier seasons, or Leviathan
Yeah.
by this time. And Dick Roman. So they basically the boys track down the guy that's doing the sucky with
Mhm.
the people. Like they don't waste a whole lot of time trying to figure out at this point who he is. They just know is like some sort of Mr. Snyder or something is I think what they get told. So they track him down. This is where we get to the scene at the very beginning where Dean goes poof. So now we're back to basically the beginning of the episode. Dean goes poof, but now we find out that when Dean went poof, he went and he is now in 1944.
1944.
And we find this out. The first thing Dean is like, he's still chasing the guy, and he's got his gun out, and then he comes out of the alley, and it's 1944, and these
And so
cops.
the street is suddenly populated. It was a dead end, a dead downtown, and now it's like hopping and lively, and there's people everywhere.
That's right. The boys are at war, and everybody's out for the night. And the cops are like, put down the gun, and I'm like, gun? That looks like a cannon to you in
Yeah.
1944. The gun that Dean has looks like an absolute like
It's very modern, yeah.
it's so modern. It's oh man, it's just an interesting. But also, I was kind of like in 1944, like someone walking around with a gun probably wasn't as big a deal as maybe it. But we think that, but that's not true because our pervasive gun culture didn't actually start happening until like the late 70s anyway. We got Dean in 1944. The cops take him in, and then we get actually a little. So we're gonna basically be going back and forth, jumping in time between 1944 and modern times for the
2012.
2012. Yeah, for the chunk of this episode because I love the way they construct how the boys like work together to figure this out through time. They do it so wonderfully. So. Jody is back on the phone with Sam. Sam is like, I don't know. This thing we were hunting just made him go poof. He's gone. I need you to. Can you? She's like, I can help. What can I got you into this mess. And Sam's like, no, it's fine. And she's like, no, what can I do? And he's like, how do you feel about lifting boxes? So he sends her to Bobby's place to pick up like what everything. Or was like some storage facility that Bobby had.
Yeah, a storage facility is what she says, and it's like, what did you tell him to get? Just the boxes labeled red light poof?
That's what I mean. Like I was wondering that too. I'm like, did she grab everything in there? And like we know this about Bobby. He probably had multiple storage facilities. Like just like John did, just like some of these other guys have had. Like why would the answer be in there? But we don't ask those questions.
But the answer was in there too.
Of course it was. What it would not be in there. So Jody brings over all the boxes. And her and Sam start doing the research dance that they would normally be doing. He'd normally be doing with Dean. So meanwhile, Dean is be in an interrogation room in 1944, not aware yet that it's 1944, which I still don't get how he couldn't be by that point. He got put into the back of a cop car. That would have had to have been so old. He would have, before the point he learns that it's 1944, would have had to clue in to the fact that it's not his time. Anyway, so it's like the first cop whatever, it's the local cop that's like kind of grilling him and is like, this FBI badge is issued 68 years from now. You're not even a good Jerry spy. And and then Dean like does the math. I love the moment of Dean doing the math in his head. 44? I'm stuck in 1944. We're all stuck in 1944, pal. Such good lines. And yeah, so we're getting Dean interviewed. Then comes Ness. So basically, there's like this whole hullabaloo. They do a great job of like not revealing who this person is, as Dean is like still trying to scramble. Like, I don't even know how I got here. You're gonna think this sounds crazy, and of course, the guy believes him because turns out that Eliot Ness is a hunter. In this time, of course, Eliot Ness, famous for the one who went after Al Capone, being the FBI agent who went after Capone, and they made
and
the
they're
movie.
Hunting the same monster at this time.
We're hunting the same monster in different centuries. Yeah, so basically, Ness then spills all the tea he has on the guy. Dean like explaining all the things he knows. Like he's like, it kills in threes. The guy Ness is like, it kills in threes. Like we already knew that. So they're really, Dean's trying to bond and have a good like bro moment. Ness still isn't totally 100% sure about Dean. And I like that he says, "We got to get you new clothes. You look like a bindle stiff."
You look like a bindle stiff.
Yeah. So we get then they go to Dean and Ness, and I'm probably gonna get all the timing of the back and forth on this wrong, so bear with me on that. But
Okay.
I tried to write. It's all very tiny scribble scrabble in here. Ness, by the way, played by Nicholas Lee.
He's doing a
And
great job. He's
great
killing
job.
it.
He has the look. Like I just like the whole time I'm watching him, I'm like, how does someone look like they're from that time? And I know makeup and hair and all that, but he just like looks like he's from that time.
Yeah,
Like
he
no
really
one
does.
looks like that anymore.
And this episode is full of like just all the guest stars and co-stars are top notch.
Oh yeah. Oh, the one who plays Kronos, Jason Doring, awesome. Linda Darlow playing Ezra Moore, who we're about to meet because Ness and Dean go to the tailor, which in 1944 the tailor is Ezra Moore, and that is Eliot Ness's Bobby. We
Right.
are like very obviously drawing the one-to-one comparison of her being Bobby and Jody back in modern time for Sam. Obviously, Jody kind of filling that Bobby role here in the direct aftermath of his passing. So
Right
we of
down
course,
to calling them idiots.
yeah, she calls him idiots, like, and it's like right away. Like I thought maybe they would save that line kind of maybe for like the last scene between the two of them, but they were like right away. They're like, nope, this is Bobby. Boom, here
This
you
is
go.
our Bobby.
This is
Is
our
our
Bobby.
1944 Bobby.
1944 Bobby is a seamstress named Ezra, and she don't put up with no crap. Uh, so they're like, Ezra, we're chasing this thing, and they like through current present time and past time, we all find that this guy has a ring because Sam and Dean were already looking at these photos of Kronos, who's like, he's in this murder, and he's in this murder, and he's in this murder. This dude is like all over the place, which is kind of where they started figuring time. And then the same thing on Dean's end, where they're like, yeah, he's always doing this, and then that's the ring he wore, and that's how they figure out, based on the ring, that this is Kronos, the god of time. We get a little bit of explanation from, I believe it's Sam. The thing about the old gods is that you can, like, they don't have much of their power anymore because they got all their power from people believing in them. But they can actually like take people's energy to charge themselves. So we get like all that exposition and reminder of how these old gods work. Because I think we've met one or two of them already. Yeah,
We
obviously
have.
we have. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we met
definitely
some
have.
Egyptian ones, and we've met
Yeah,
some other like Greeky
Greek
ones.
ones. Yeah. So basically, their whole thing is like, yeah, we know we can probably figure out a way to summon it. There's probably a way to kill it. But then the trick is, how do we do that with getting Sam back at the same time getting Dean back at the same time and making sure it all is timed right and goes right and whatever.
Because he's got to surf on Kronos back to 2012.
Right. It doesn't like. I don't get how they thought just summoning him would also bring Dean back. I'm like, in what world would that be the case of what would happen? Like, what? I never got that line. Like, they seem to think that was like a line of thinking people would be having. I'm like, no, I figured pretty much Dean would have to like be with the dude to come back. Which
or
means,
you'd have to find a way to summon Dean back individually.
Right. Which, how do you do? Yeah, like that's definitely not gonna happen. So Dean then kind of realizes this at some point, like later in the episode, where he's like, wait. He's like, if we kill Kronos, because like Dean found a way to kill. I love that Dean finds a way to kill it, and Sam finds the way to like get Dean back. That's how this happened. Dean was like, kill, kill, kill. Just find a way to hunt. Just find a way to kill. Not think about how I get back till, oh shoot, wait, if I kill the son of a gun, I'm stuck here. And Ezra's like, you just now thought about that? Yeah. And that's when we got their little smooch scene.
It's not a little smooch. There's nothing little about that
big old smooch.
It's a big old
smooch. Linda Darlow, get yours.
Get it.
Get it. I hope you did a couple bad takes just so you could kiss Jensen a little more.
Yep.
The whole getting the suit and everything, like, you know, and he was like, I look good. Like, they do that right.
Heck yeah.
Right. They do Jensen right. They do Dean right. Mm-hmm. So at one point, so we basically, while Ness and Dean, they're like kind of trying to find out what's going on, like who this guy is and whatnot. They go to like his house, and at one point they find a ledger that has a bunch of like horse races results and stuff in it. And that's when Dean realizes, because Ness wondered out loud, how does he get all the lettuce for this, or all the cabbage for this, or whatever?
The lettuce.
How does he get the lettuce to afford this place? And Dean realizes he's using the Biff strategy.
He's using the Biff strategy of our first Back to the Future reference.
In the time travel episode, we finally get the Back to the Future. Yeah, so he's going through time and getting the results of horse races, then going back to 1944 or whatever, and placing bets on them. But when not the boys, I keep wanting to say the boys, but it's not. It's Ness and Dean. They see like the little the initials for a bookie that Ness knows about. That's who must be placing the bets with. They go find the bookie. The bookie gives up the location of where this guy might be. Oh yeah, you know, he's always at that diner. He's there, practically lives in the joint. So they go to the diner, and they kind of
but that scene is brilliant because they do a good cop, bad cop. Dean is like, I learned it from watching you, and he keeps making reference to the movie The Untouchables.
Yes, Dean keeps referencing The Untouchables, and Ness is like, what are you talking about? Krissy, have you ever seen The Untouchables?
No.
I have not either. So there's probably a bunch of references in here to The Untouchables that I just didn't get. That probably I should have been marking. I think I marked. I know for sure in this, like right after the scene when they're like following the guy, when they're following him in the alley and they're about to shoot him, and because he's about to attack the woman, but then he grabs her hand. The shot of the two of them with the guns, the like sweeping up shot, that I'm pretty sure is from the movie Untouchables, like straight up stolen or like homage to it.
It's an homage.
Yeah, I put that in as a pop culture reference because I was like, I have seen that exact like image, but from the Untouchables, I'm pretty sure.
Sneaky.
Dean, I mean, there's like several others, like Dean calling himself Agent Costner when he goes to the house.
Yeah, I counted that one.
As the termite guy, he's like, oh yeah, I'm Agent Costner. So yeah, a lot of Untouchables references. We get several Back to the Future references, and there's a few others for my pop culture reference was one of the rules. Yeah, we get. Let's see. Meanwhile, like the weapon that Ezra, I know I'm like jumping around, but Ezra got them the weapon to kill Kronos was like an olive branch.
Blessed by Vestal Virgins.
Blessed by Vestal Virgins and dipped in the blood of you don't want to know what.
Yes, I do.
And I'm like, if I'm Dean, I'm like, of course I want to know what if I don't, what are the odds I'm going to come across a Kronos again? But if I don't kill him, I'm going to need to know what to dip the olive branch blessed by
I know.
vegetable virgins in.
They've had to kill the trickster more than once, so it stands to reason that maybe they'll have to kill more than one Kronos or more than one, ancient Greek god.
Yeah. Just give it up, Ezra. Tell us what your secrets are. We want to know.
We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
That's right. So Dean, he like drops Ness off at the guy's house while he's like, I gotta go Back to the Future 3 this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He literally says, I gotta back. He's like, Back to the Future 3. And so Dean, that's when Dean goes to the guy's house, says, I'm Agent Costner or whatever, and I'm here to give you a termite inspection. And I then goes up to the bedroom, and he's in the house where Dean and Sam are staying in the future. And he goes up to the bedroom where Sammy is sleeping, and he like carves his name on the floorboard, or on the baseboard, carves Sam's name, and then leaves a note, all for Sam. And so, of course, before that, you have the good moment when Sam finds it. Then Jody's like, "Go up to sleep. Like, I'm putting you to bed. I'm being mom. Go to bed. Get some shut eye." And that's when he goes up and he finds it, and he comes back down, and she's like, "All right, I warned you." And he's like, it's Doc. He's in the Old West, but it's Doc. He's alive, but he's in the Old West. Yeah. So it's Dean. He's alive. He's in the Old West. He's in 1944, but it's Dean. So they now know where Dean is. They know at least what year, but they need to figure out what exact date and time. Or they know the day because he wrote the
November
date.
5th.
Yep, he wrote the date on the paper, but they need to know the exact time.
Which is a pop culture reference because it's November 5th is the date. November 5th, 1955 is the date that Marty McFly goes back to.
Oh, of course. Great catch.
And today is November 5th, Nate.
What?
Today is the day we're recording this. It won't be the day it comes out, so you're not listening to it on November 5th, but we are recording this on November 5th.
2023. You could be listening to it on November 5th, 2024.
You could be.
Or 1944, and you have somehow gone back in time and still have podcast service. I don't know how that works. But
good for you.
Maybe you downloaded us, which thanks for the download. Great catch. I saw the date and it didn't even strike me as that's the Back to the Future day. Back to the Future day. They're so clever. So they go in Dean's letter to Sam. It says he's banging this woman named Lila, whatever.
Lila Taylor.
Lila Taylor. Yeah, Lila Taylor. So we're going to see if that has anything. So that's when they're like, oh, we got to find this Lila Taylor person, who, of course, she just still happens to live in Canton.
Of course she does.
All these years later. Even though that's the site of where, her husband / lover, whatever he was for her, choked the life out of a guy in front of her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She still lives there. So they go to her. She's, of course, this very elderly woman, and she's like, "Oh, that." They show a picture of Kronos. She's like, "That's Ethan," and she's like, "I haven't seen him since the night the clock stopped. They all stopped at 11:34," and that's oh, now we know the exact time. We need to. Thank you.
That was the exact piece of information we needed.
How did you know that was the exact bit of information we really needed? So yeah, she says he choked up the life out of those two officers that came and whatever, blah blah blah. So we then go back to the present, and that's where the boys are or not the boys. Gosh dang it, Ness and Dean. Ness, who's already been caught and jumped by Kronos once, because he's like, I went back to get that hunter that surfed me here and figured you took him, whatever. And then so the boys go in, not the boys, Ness and Dean go in, and it's, we have a kerfuffle. We got the kerfuffle going on. They
Oh, it's a
basically
kerfuffle.
They're coming after Kronos. Kronos is gonna make a move, but then Ness has Lila and is like pointing the gun at her stomach because she's pregnant. And they're basically like, now there's interrogation time, part 2. This time we're actually interviewing the baddie instead of the toady. And
Wait. Did we know that she was pregnant?
I don't think we knew. I don't think that was known. That was like kind of like a bomb dropped in that moment.
Oh, okay.
Ness pointing the gun at her belly.
See, I just thought he was being really weird about it.
I assumed that was the writers telling us, oh yeah, she's pregnant, and that's why he cares so much about being in this time, why Kronos cares so much about being in this time, is that they're actually going to have a baby or whatever, and that's why he keeps doing the thing. So, like, once again, we're getting into our, like, free will versus destiny kind of debate here, because this is a, like, I mean, this guy literally kills 3 people whenever he wants to travel or whatever, but and they don't really explain how his life, he says like his life is just traveling through time, but it's like, are you forced to, are you like thrown through it randomly?
Yeah, he says that every so often he gets tossed out of time, and then wherever he ends up, he has to kill 3 people to get back to her in Canton in 1944.
Right. Which, and he puts it, they're sacrifices so that I can be here with you. And she does not get that.
No, she's not into it.
She's from 1944, hasn't seen Supernatural, so she probably doesn't quite get the whole free will versus destiny debate, or that there is one, but that could have been broached anyway. There could have been diplomacy in this situation, but Kronos starts choking out Dean. And that's when, luckily, Sam and Jody at the same time are doing the spell to summon Kronos. And it looks like...
I wanted to point out that he has to cut his palm to get blood to write the time in blood. And it's been a long time. So that used to be one of our favorite rules.
Yes, was hand slicing.
And we haven't seen it in a while.
Not a lot of hand slicing. Yeah. Good to see a good hand slice.
Yeah.
And next episode there will be no bandage. It'll just be perfectly good and fine.
No scar.
Their palms must be, and I don't think you have to slice your palm. There's probably a better part of your body you could cut to get some blood to draw out, whatever.
Cut the back of your hand. You don't use it as much,
right? So they get Kronos back. They get him back with Dean surfing on him. Ness has the wherewithal to like throw Dean the olive dagger. Right.
He calls him untouchable too.
Yes. Hey, untouchable. Good moment. Tosses him the olive dagger. We get back to real time. We get a little punchy with Sam and Kronos, and then Dean and Kronos again, and then Sammy takes the branch and right through the heart.
Right through the heart, and you're
down
to
goes
blame.
Kronos. And yeah, so that's we get that, and then Kronos, as he's dying, he says, "I see your future. I know how you're all gonna die. It's covered in thick black ooze. It's everywhere. End of episode. Another episode that just ends. Just ends.
Really abruptly.
So abruptly.
But it was a great episode. What a fun episode.
Thanks. Yeah. I liked it a lot. I like, obviously, the time travel, but then it's got some, it's got fun little history tidbits, nuggets, or like, droppings in there.
And great guest stars, as we said.
Amazing guest stars. Anytime we get a chance, amazing guest stars, and we get a great recurring side character.
Jody.
Great way to get Jody into this.
Is this our first Jody episode? This is our first Jody episode that we've done.
That we've done? I feel like
we've done Donna. We haven't done Jody.
I feel like we did one Jody at some point.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I feel like we did do one where she either is like, maybe it's just like a phone thing or something.
Okay.
That
could be. But we haven't done a Jody-centric episode.
No, we have not done it, but no, not a Jody-centric where she's like playing. And there's a lot of them. There's like, that's when we talk about doing possibly a season that's just based on characters. That is one that we could definitely. No, this is her third appearance. So
Right.
Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is her first appearance, and that's one I'm wondering if we did that. And then season 6,
so.
Weekend at Bobby's.
We haven't done that one.
We have not done that one. We did not do Hello Cruel World. So this is not her third. This is actually her fifth appearance. Did we do Slash Fiction?
Not yet.
All right. Well then, no. This is the first Jody. Or I guess I could look at later seasons. That's just no. Didn't do those. Rock in a Hard Place.
Nope.
Nope. Nope, didn't do that one. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this
is our first Jody.
First.
She's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. We haven't even done the Joni Donna one where they're in it together. Yeah.
And their failed backdoor spinoff.
I know. The Wayward Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been a thing.
I wish it was.
Yeah, we didn't even do one of the like later seasons, I don't think. Anyway. Yeah, so that is Time After Time.
Excellent. How did our rules play out?
Oh man, this is gonna be fun to compare here. For sure. So first one, pop culture references. I only counted 8, and there had to have been more.
I got 8.
Okay, all right. Sweet. Red lights, I got 4.
I got 3.
3. I probably 3 too, because it doesn't red light them on the way back. I'm wondering if I wrote that down for some reason. All right. How many Lost in Translations did you have?
5.
I had 4.
Okay.
Perfect. Jody calls twice.
Jody calls twice.
I noticed some jazz 3 times.
I only noticed it once.
I am definitely counting the credits at the end.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that one.
And it's like credits at the end. I think there's like another point. Obviously, like when he gets the suit or whatever.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I only noticed it when he first lands.
When he first lands, when he gets the suit, and then the credits. I only picked up 3 awesomes.
I got 4.
4? Okay.
There's one that he says really quietly.
Awesome. Dean geeks out twice?
I got 4.
You got 4? See, that's my own like rule that I love, and I just didn't even count it. I counted 4 times we were drinking for Bobby.
I counted the same.
Okay. One of those is in a BM scene, which is one of I counted 2 BM scenes.
I did too. One between Jody and Sam, and one between Ness and Dean.
Yep, in the car, and both of them are really great. They happen back at the same time because the way the episode is structured, where it's like everything Dean's experiencing in 1944, Sam's experiencing in some way in 2012, and so Jody and Sam find a bottle of whiskey that Rufus had given Bobby as part of a lost bet, and they have this whole moment of like, isn't it weird? You just find these little pieces of them after they're gone. You're trying to put together a puzzle to find out who they are. And then Ness and Dean, their BM scene is sitting in the car talking about why they hunt. He's like that.
You're a pansy.
They were turning vamps in Cleveland. That's when I caught the bug. It frees me. Hunting frees me. Isn't that why you do it? And he's like, well, I did it because my family did it. And now I'm not really sure why I do it at all. He's like, come on, you Nancy. He calls him a Nancy. Ugh.
Get over it.
Yeah, it's not good for Dean to have someone to like tell him to like, it's not good for him. That's not what he needs. It's like, he doesn't need this like drunk cop telling him that he needs to be more out of touch with how he feels
Yeah,
in his
it's
ways. Yeah,
true.
that's not a good influence.
It's a very 1944 sensibility, though.
It was a very nice, but that's kind of what I was like, oh man, Dean's gonna take all the wrong things away from this lesson. Like he's gonna pick up all the wrong messages. I learned it from watching you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess that was a pop culture reference too. We should have counted that.
I thought about counting it. I was like, that's such a good good reference. Maybe I did count. I don't know.
I didn't.
I forget I don't always write them all down on pop culture references. I try to. I wrote down. I feel like I wrote down one, and then it's lost here in the notes somewhere.
Mm.
All right, and then we had the one big smooch, and then of course
There's
Gank.
two big smooches.
Two big smooches.
Yeah, she smooches Dean, but then Kronos smooches his lady friend.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Two big smooches. And then one gank.
Yep, one gank.
Dean says I just want to gank this thing. Yeah. So that was a fun game.
I agree. I really enjoyed it.
Fun. Awesome.
Awesome.
How did that inspire awe?
How are you filled with awe? Yep.
How are you filled with awe? and he's like, and then when he says it to Ezra, what is this, some kind of religious nut? I don't know. He just keeps saying that. Mm-hmm. Oh, and yeah, from the future, there's a black guy who's president. Even the black guy is president. Oh man, and they're just like not impressed by that at all. They're like, okay,
nope, they just breeze right past it. Okay, so do you want to know what's next?
I do want to know what's next.
Okay, I don't think you're gonna know this episode.
Okay,
we're going to season 15, episode 14. Last holiday. Jack is in this episode. It's going to be our first Jack episode.
Oh, man.
Are you ready for the rules?
Yes.
Okay. When the bunker creaks and breaks, take a drink. When someone says language, take a drink. When the bunker beeps and bops, take a drink. When Mrs. Butters makes a smoothie, take a drink.
Oh, I know this episode now. 100%
okay. when she hands them a lunch sack, take a drink. When Mrs. Butters calls Jack a monster, take a drink. And when Mrs. Butters is disappointed in the boys, take a drink. Those are our rules.
All right.
For season 15, episode 14, The Last Holiday.
I do recall this episode.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we're getting into the holiday season. It's time for us to start thinking about holidays.
Some holiday eps. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thank you for sticking around to the end with us. We appreciate you so much. If you want more of Krissy and Nate, you can of course become a member at True Story FM, where you get the episodes 1 week early with some extra bonus content. We always talk about our lessons learned. And then we have some nice, some chit chat. So if you want more Nate and Krissy, you can get more Nate and Krissy. Just kick us $5 every month. Help us keep this podcast going. And Nate, where can they find us in real life if they want to help keep us going in real life?
In real life, if you want to help us keep us going, you can visit the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona for all the dates and showtimes and tickets and all that kind of stuff. You can go to nctphoenix.com. We also do all sorts of workshops and special shows and
holidays
and yeah, there's always something going on at the neighborhood. So you can check it all out at nctphoenix.com.
That's right. And when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things, you know the family business. Be sure to keep your Gank That Drank motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party
on,
on, dudes.
dudes.